We're talking about our sugar detox junkie because sugar is a major problem. I'm going to pull up some notes, and those of you that are on the live call, I want you to chime in. I want you to ask questions. But first, let's start with, tell me what the biggest problem is when it comes to sugar. So for those of you online, if you can either chat it, so put it in the chat, or you can tell me what problems, what issues, what things do you have about sugar? Maybe it's myths, maybe it's a struggle. If you want to unmute yourself and just like go to town. Sugar is a real problem. You know how many people are pre-diabetic, and you know how many, and that's basically us doing it. We're not talking about the genetics of this. We're talking about you making yourself pre-diabetic because of diet. Can you imagine, like, let's digest that for a minute. Let's digest that. First of all, being diabetic, it is extremely difficult. I know because it runs in my family, and we can actually make ourselves have that disease. Like, you can make yourself have it by having too much sugar. Yet sugar is so marketed and it's so completely addictive. So let's see. Give me some of your comments. Tell me what kind of struggles you have. Tell me what brought you here in the first place. Like, why do you want to be here? Why did you show up for this?
So for me, when I have, like, say, you know, I mentally prepare myself to have a good, healthy eating day. If my father-in-law brings me coffee daily, which I love, and he brings the kids Timbits. So I'll just dip into the Timbits and I'll have one, and then that sets me off for the whole day. And some people have the strength to just say, oh, well, just have one. That's not a big deal. But for me, it's almost like a gateway to, like, well, now is a cheat day. And that's kind of my MO. Like, oh, I had a cookie. Well, now, you know, this day's out the window. I'm going to eat the whole bag and ice cream and candy and I'll just have a cheat day. So then I'll fill my entire day with that mentality of, okay, I'll just cheat today and I'll get back on track tomorrow. But it happens often. I don't have the strength, I guess, to just stop at one or two.
So, I love that you said you don't have the strength. I'm going to pull something up. It's not the strength. It's not strength that gets you there, ladies. It's not really discipline. I want to show you something, and I want to tell you to do something. You guys have probably heard me say this before, but I want you to try this. I'm going to close this up here. I'm going to pull up a screen. So just bear with me for a minute. Thanks for being honest about that. Does anyone else relate to that? Like, you have one and you're like, it's over, I'm done, right? Yep, I hear you. So it's not strength, Amber, really. There's a whole science behind it. I'm not going to get everything into it, but I want to share you something. I want to show you this screen. So first of all, here's what I want every person to do, whether you've done it before or not. I want you to get a glass. One that's going to be the sugar that you're consuming, and one is going to be either the sugar that maybe you avoided. Okay, so some, like, what you're eating and what you've maybe avoided. So say you went into your cupboard and you're like, I really want these. Yeah, there we go. I love it, Melissa. I want you to look at your labels. Okay, so this is important. Write this down. 4 grams of sugar equals 1 TSP, 1 teaspoon. So when you read a label and it says 24 grams of sugar, 24 divided by 4 is, some of us might have to get a calculator because we forget sometimes, but it's 6. I think it's 6. 6 times 4 is 24. I remembered all that. Right, Amber? 6 times 4 is 24. Okay, math is not my strong suit, but anyway. So if you're having a 250 ml glass of something.
Is that wine, Trina?
I'm getting loaded. I know, I should caveat that, eh? I have been sober since March 20, 2019. When I say sober, it sounds like I was drunk all the time, but I just mean I'm completely alcohol free. It'll be 3 years, March 20th. This is kombucha. So every single time that you consume sugar, I want you to have a glass and you're going to look at what's in there. And if it says 24 grams of sugar, you're going to put 6 teaspoons of sugar in your glass or in a jar. If you want to protect it, put it in a jar on the counter. And then if you avoid something like your father-in-law comes over and it gives you those Timbits and you're like, you know what? I ain't going to do it. I'm going to do myself. And you know what you should do? I'll give you another tip for that. Remind me, I'll backtrack. If you avoid it, I want you to have another glass and you scoop it in. I just avoided 6 grams of sugar, or 24 grams teaspoons. You put it in there. Avoid, consumed. Okay. I'm going to show you something. I've done this for years with my clients, years. And it is incredible. So look at this. Can you see the screen? Yeah. This is a challenge I give to everyone. My client was drinking 18 teaspoons in her coffee a day. You guys might think that's a lot. So she was having like 4 drinks, whatever, but that was just her coffee. 15 to 18 teaspoons per day in just her coffee. Like this was her cup here. This is not even a joke. She was drinking Coca-Cola. She was drinking everything. Never mind the natural sugars that we're consuming. Do you know how screwed up mentally you feel, hormonally you feel, how angry you feel? So this is the challenge. I said to her, I said, just do this. I just want you to become aware. Just be aware. She was in one of my coaching programs. That's all she focused on was her sugar. That is it. 5 coffees a day, 3 sugars in each, which wasn't a big deal. She was a mom. Maybe 5 sugars or 5 coffees sounds like a lot. Wine, lattes, you name it, you're drinking it. And so I want you to take this challenge. Get this little cup, get 2 of them, and choose what you're going to avoid and choose what you're going to eat. Okay. So this was the difference between week 1 and 4, these photos here. It's unbelievable. So that's the first thing I want you to do, because visually when you see this, suddenly that package of cookies and ice cream and all the things, I just want you to stop and go, okay, I want to have this right now. And you might have an extra cup because you're like, I really want these cookies. So I'm going to eat 5 of them. I know I'm going to eat the whole box, but let's just say I'm going to eat 5 and then calculate it. Because when you become aware of what you're eating, suddenly you're like, oh my gosh, that is a lot. Because the labels are so sneaky. Anything with OSE is sugar. They are finding other words and they are hiding it in the labels. Sugar, sugar, sugar. They do this for kids. They market this for kids. And it is so unhealthy for your body to be consuming too much. It is a hormone disruptor and so many things. And it tastes delicious, but when we process this in our body, afterwards, you don't feel good because you go on a sugar high and then you completely crash. You go up and you come down. So the first thing I want you to do is I want you to take those cups and I want you to read your labels. Every single thing you eat, it's in pasta sauce, it's in canned goods, it's in cereal, you name it. Now, sugar is sugar is sugar is sugar, because everyone says, well, I'm eating a whole bunch of natural fruits and everything. That's fabulous. And it's a lot better than processed sugar and all these different things. However, when you take it into your body and you eat it, your body doesn't know, well, this sugar is from an apple. It knows, like it takes nutrients from that, but it doesn't know that your sugar high from the apple and your sugar high from the chocolate and cookies that you like to eat, it sees it as the same thing. But the difference is in the apple, it comes with a dose of other nutrients. It comes with fiber. So when it scientifically goes through your body, it's processed different, but sugar is sugar is sugar is sugar. It goes through the same process. So you have to be really aware of how much you're consuming in a day. And the more you eat, the more you crave. Do you find that? My husband gave me mini eggs for Christmas. It reminds me of my mom when I was a little kid. I haven't eaten them in years. Dairy makes me completely sick. Like if I eat it, it is a train wreck. And he gave me them for Christmas. I was actually so frustrated. He put them in my stocking. And I was like, why would you do this? Because I haven't eaten them in years and I love them. And I ate a pack and I was like jonesing for more. I was like, I want, and I knew I didn't want more, but I was like very aware. I'm like, this is what happens in your body. You eat it and you just want more. Like, you don't feel that way with broccoli and hummus. You're like, give me some more, man. Like, I gotta have more. If you're like me, you are, because I'm addicted to healthy food now. It took me a long time. But naturally, you're not like, let me eat these celery sticks. I want more. Someone gives you a bag of celery for Christmas. You're like, yeah, I'm jonesing for more celery. It's sugar. So the first thing I want you to do is I want you to make sure that you keep track of the sugar. One teaspoon is 4 grams on your labels. Okay. So keep track of everything you're eating. It is such an eye opener. Okay. And I want you to fill that sugar jar. The second thing I want you to do is I want you to invest in drinking that lemon detox water that I say for everyone to drink. There's a very specific reason why I tell you to put ginger and cayenne. And cayenne sounds scary, high beauty, but you don't need a lot. You just need a little pinch, and you can start without it. Do the ginger. Buy fresh ginger, save it in the freezer, because what happens is this will stabilize your blood sugar level and it's going to help you detox. Jeanette, she's adorable. Like, I just want to bring her on screen. I want to get her sugar thoughts. Okay. I'm going to stay on track to finish this thought. So the ginger and the cayenne, and they can go interchangeably. Just start with lemon or just start with ginger. I know it can be a lot on people's palates, but what it helps you do is it helps you to reset your palate, to help get rid of the cravings, and to stabilize your blood sugar. And obviously it hydrates you and does all these other things, but we're using it to get off the sugar. If you can get your kids to drink this, my kids drink this, I make it in a big batch. I put it in the fridge and then I take it out for the day and I leave it on the counter and they just guzzle it back. They're like, this is so good. Lots of lemon, you know, make it like, play with it. Put as much ginger as you like in cayenne and just sort of get used to it. I'm telling you, scientifically, it works. Everyone that's addicted to sugar, I've put them on this for the last 20 plus years. They're like, I don't know why, but I'm like, don't even worry about the why. Just do it. Like, there's a whole scientific thing behind it. Don't even worry about the why, but it works 100%. So do that lemon detox water. It'll just help you get off of it. Herbal teas, different things, all of that. But sugar is so addictive, and we are marketed this in every product that we get. Okay. I'm going to give you 4 really useful tips today to start. Pick 1, pick 2, dive into all of them and try it for 30 days, try it for 90 days, like track this, because it's been a lifetime of sugar in your body, right? And things like crackers and pasta and all the good things, like even if it's healthy, it gets processed as sugar because it's carbohydrates in the body. So we want to eat those more naturally. But things like your chickpea pasta, it has fiber. So even though there's high carbohydrates and it's getting processed and broken down as sugar, it comes with extra things that slows the process down in your body. Does that make sense? Do you understand when I say that? If you want me to clarify anything, unmute yourself.
Does the type of sugar matter? Like, even if it's a sweetener or?
So interesting, Amber. There's a lot of research coming out on this now. I've been coaching for so long. What we started out saying and what we're saying now, it's always like that. It gets very different. So they're actually saying now that it typically doesn't really matter what kind of sugar you have, because there's agave, coconut sugar, brown sugar, white, like there's so many sugars. You go to the market and you're like, what do I have? Sweeteners and all this different stuff. Typically, they would say, like I always say, if it's white, don't bite, because white generally has a lot of things removed from it. Like, for example, when they process wheat as white flour, they remove all of the germ. So you don't get the nutrients, right? And sugar, it's grown in different canes and different things. This is how I process everything, because we have made things so complicated in life. Like have a protein shake. Don't. It hurts your liver. Eat this much protein. Don't. Have this much sugar. Have brown sugar. Have coconut. Have stevia. Have and you're just like, what's the new thing? This is what I like to follow. Hi, beautiful. I love the kids. These are my rules because I like to kiss. Keep it super simple. Okay? Control the amount that you're eating, number one. Try to control as much as possible how much sugar you're consuming, whether it's honey, agave, maple syrup. It's all under the sugar umbrella. They're all under that sugar umbrella. It's like, what's better for me? Wine, beer, vodka. They're all going through your liver, right? Sugar is going through your liver. It's all being processed. I personally like to choose the sugars that I think are the best, that I've done research on. I use coconut sugar. I like the taste better. I'm not a fan of white sugar. I don't really like the taste. There's quite a difference in the taste and the sweetness. So I would just say, pay attention to what you notice, what symptoms you notice in yourself. Do you feel any kind of bloating if you have white sugar, Tim Hortons donuts versus you make your own with honey, maple syrup, or brown sugar? Because there's not one that's right for everybody. And there is a lot of research coming out now to say like it's all the same. It's all bad for you if you're consuming too much. Everything is bad for you if you're consuming too much, right? If you overeat broccoli and seeds all the time, you can actually become immune to them and have an allergy. Isn't it crazy what your body does? So don't get yourself all crazy. Some people, they just eat white sugar and they're like not getting on board with anything else. Control the amount you eat. It's more about how much you're having in the day rather than anything else. Keep it simple for yourself. Does that help, Amber? Like I don't consume white sugar. I haven't in, I don't even know, 18 years, probably longer, since the whole time my husband. I just don't. I don't like how I feel. I know if I have a sugar something, I don't feel well. I'm like, I feel that bloating. I feel thirsty. I feel tired. So just the best thing you can do is be aware in your body for yourself, how it feels. Okay. And like Melissa just said, back to basics, right? Do you have any comments or questions or anything else? Okay. So here's the next thing. So number one, you're going to fill your sugar jar. Write this down. Fill your sugar jar. Have two. You could even have one in the middle. Like, I want to consume this right now. What does this look like? Like, that's what I'll do. We got a whole bunch of treats for Christmas. And I show my kids, I'm like, do you want to eat that bag of whatever? Go to your jar, let your kids scoop it out and say, this is what you're eating. And then I'll take it further sometimes and I'll say, add some water into that. Now here's a little food coloring. Stir that around and drink that. And they're like, that's disgusting, but that's what you're eating. They just put it in a little pretty package and a little pretty thing and put a little M&M on it. And that's what you're consuming. Like if you came to my house and I broke down the ingredients and handed it to you, you would be mortified. Like, why are you handing me that? That's what you're eating. It's just they melted it down and make it look pretty. So make this fun. Get people involved in your house and say, let's do this. Let's get really educated about what we eat, because it has to stop with us. We're consuming this stuff, so they're selling it to us. And the more they sell it, the more we buy it. Someone has to take a stand and say, I'm not going to, like, I won't buy my kids fishy crackers, bear paws. They've had them, but I will not buy them. And I tell them why. I'm like, this is why. Like, this is a once in a while when you go to your friends and, you know, I've bought them, but I'm like, on the regular, this is the reasons why I don't buy it. Just educate yourself. And sometimes it's a battle and sometimes it's a fight. Nothing is off limits. No food, no drink is ever off limits. Eat it, enjoy it. Do not beat yourself up, but don't make that part of your regular meal and drink routine. Just say, yep, I ate that whole bag. I'm not going to do it again, but I ate it and I'm good. Do not restrict yourself. Number two, I want you to make that lemon detox water. It helps so much. Number three, I want you to add into your meal prep some type of bitter green. I will say this over and over and over again. Bitter green, why? I'll tell you what they are and I'll tell you why. So things like broccoli, rapini, Swiss chard, spinach. You can just Google bitter greens. If you don't like eating them, so number one, if you eat it and you're like, this is terrible, it's because you're completely addicted to sugar and it's going to taste really foreign in your mouth. I have my closest friend, I love rapini. I am like rapini all over it. And she's like, you know, you always talk about rapini. I'm going to buy it. I'm going to do it. She's like, it is terrible. It's awful. I'm like, listen, dude, it's because you're addicted. She's a sugar junkie. She has a sweet tooth. She's like, it's the worst thing I've ever eaten. I'm like, and matcha lattes. I've been posting all about my matcha lattes. People are like, matcha tastes like seaweed and it's gross. I'm like, because you're addicted to sugar. That's all. That's the only reason. And it's not a bad thing. It's just your palate, the amylase. Like if I talk to you right now about something you love to eat, tell me something. Well, I don't want to do it. It's mean. I'm not going to do it because it's mean. But if I start talking to you about something you really like sugary, your mouth will start to water. That's amylase. Your brain is like, oh yeah, that is so sexy. Your mouth will water. You can taste it. You're like, oh yeah, I love me some mini eggs. God, it's the scientific thing that happens in your mouth. It's actually incredibly fascinating. So I want you to incorporate some bitter greens. Start with the easiest ones. Swiss chard or spinach, Swiss chard, different things like that. Rapini, you can Google it. And I want you to add that into your meal planning. You're not going to love it. Your kids will probably go haywire. Like you can start this. You can chop things up. You can put them into smoothies. I put spinach in every soup. And when the kids are like, what is that? I'm like, oh, it's parsley. Like for years, they didn't even know. Now they know. They're like, I love spinach. Why don't people put it in? Because you can't even taste it. I chop it really small, or I cut it up with scissors. I'm like, oh, and I just tell them what they want to hear. Because no one wants to hear like, oh, you're eating like all these minerals and greens and micros, right? Right? Okay. So do any of you like bitter greens?
To be honest with you, I wouldn't know how to cook them. I like spinach is a regular for me, so that's fine. But anything like Swiss chard or bok choy or anything like that, I wouldn't have.
You know what, Amber? You can do it so easily. I got to get my recipe book out. I really do. But you can do this, Amber. Like if you've already tried spinach, try Swiss chard. Wash it, chop it all up super, super fine. Saute it, lemon, oil, olive oil, garlic, salt and pepper, any kind of spices you like. I love to use a little bit of cayenne pepper, some crushed red pepper, paprika, smoked paprika, cumin, any kind of spices that you generally like. And you can have it at the side. Like we'll put that at the bottom and then I'll put my fish or chicken or whatever you have on top. I will roll it right up, put it into meatballs, anything. You cannot go wrong. So you can treat Swiss chard like you do spinach, and you could even cut the leaf. Like if you're not into the stem, like I chop everything super fine. You can put Swiss chard right into any soup you make, anything. Just start with a leaf, cut it all up. Don't be afraid. You can't mess it up. Rapini, some people boil it. I just saute it right up. I'm always like, what is getting me the fastest result? I'm not into like 50,000 steps. I skip right past all those recipes. I'm like, this is not working for me. A sprig of this and a flick of that. And I'm like, nope. My kids are like hanging off me. They're driving me crazy. I'm banging my head against the wall. I'm like, I'm just going to order pizza. I can't take this anymore. I want easy. Grab a leaf, chop it up, start there, and saute it. How bad can it be? Salt it, like Himalayan salt and pepper. Do not be afraid, Amber. Same thing with rapini. Rapini is almost like broccolini. Like it's almost like has little broccoli heads. It's so delicious. One of my favorite things. If you haven't tried rapini, get a big head of it. I wash it and then I chop it all really fine, or you can cut it with scissors. When I'm lazy, I cut it with scissors. I literally am like chop, chop, chop. And then I put it in a pan and I cover it with a lid. I put a little bit of water, do lemon, olive oil, salt, pepper, lots of garlic, whatever spices, and I just wilt it all right down. And then we have it with spaghetti, like on the side. I'll say to the kids, try this. Sometimes they're like, it's too bitter, or I don't want it. Just keep exposing yourself and your kids to it. Just pick one, right? Beets are another great thing. They're higher in sugar, but you know the end of your beet stems? Have you ever done this? So you know how beets come in the root? Like you can see beets, sometimes they come with all the leaves. Chop all those leaves off and use those as bitter greens. So if you like beets, I will buy the beets with all the stems. I will chop the end of the stem into little tiny pieces and I just saute away. Do not be afraid, okay? I'm gonna put this in. There's a couple of really good, this is my tip number 4. I wanna know if you can see this in the chat. I'm gonna put in some recipes here. No, it won't copy the link. So I'll give you the link. So I want you to try any kind of juice, like homemade juice that you put in a blender. That's tip number 4. I guarantee you, if you follow any of these tips, it will decrease your sugar. I put 100% money back stamp guarantee on this. You don't need a detox. You know, people are messaging me and they're like, I'm on a detox right now. I'm like, do you know that your body knows how to detox itself? She's like, I'm starving. I'm like, because your body knows how to detox itself. It's been centuries, but we make billions of dollars. I could make billions of dollars if I start selling you products. I get contacted 50 times a day by coaches from places. I'm not going to say them here because I'm not advertising. And they're like, I'm drinking the shake. I'm drinking my mama juice. You should do this, you should do that. I'm like, you're an idiot. You're spending your money on stuff that you do not need. You do not, your body knows how to detox. It's called a healthy detox. So tip number 4 is try a homemade juice. I'm going to put this link in here. I'm going to see if it will open for you. This is a very, very simple green juice. I'm going to put it in the link for you guys. If you are watching the live, it's called my energizing green juice. Literally, it is kale. If you don't have kale, use spinach, whatever, English cucumber, pineapple, and apple. If you don't have those ingredients, you make it up. You put in a little bit of fruit and your juice. Why? Because most of us are making smoothies with a whole ton of fresh frozen fruits, and it's so yummy. And people are like, I just love it. Of course you do, because you're blasting your body with natural sugars and it tastes fantastic. Right? Go ahead, Melissa.
Do you recommend, like, would frozen fruit be okay? I know fresh is best, but
that's not actually true, Melissa. We're educated that fresh is best.
Yes.
But guess what? The raspberries came from Mexico on a truck for a week. Then it took the stock boys 3 days to stock it. So we're told fresh is best. Really?
Well, yeah.
That's you. When you go in the backyard and you pick it, 100% fresh is best. But who's doing that? Yeah. I don't have a raspberry tree and I'm trying to grow a banana tree. And right. I know Jeanette does because she's a farmer. 100% when you pluck it from the ground, that's the best, and eat it now. But let's be realistic. Anything frozen or fresh, Melissa, it does not matter. In fact, many times the argument is fresh to frozen, it's flash frozen, and there's more nutrients ASAP. But it really does not matter. Just get it into your body. But here's the general rule for your smoothies. A quarter cup to half a cup of some type of fruit is generally, and we're not doing that. We're throwing in a whole banana, loading it with raspberries. I'm telling you, because people that make my recipes are like, oh, it's just like, this is so amazing. Like, that has a lot of fruit. Make this one. No, I don't like that. I don't like green juice. I'm like, you don't like green juice because you're addicted to sugar. That's the only reason why you don't like it. Try it. No, I'm just going to keep making my shakes. I make these shakes from this person, so I'm like, that's amazing. Keep doing that. But just know that you're loading your body with all this sugar. So I want you to try to make a juice. So think about, Melissa, like, what's your favorite smoothie to make, Melissa? And don't give me some advertised product of someone. You can, if you want, you can tell me, and I'll give you my honest opinion.
I usually do like a mixed fruit. So it's usually like raspberries, blueberries.
Yeah.
I might throw in some mangoes or something, but yeah, it is a lot of, or Greek yogurt, put it in something. But yes, it is stupidly sweet, obviously.
Tastes good.
It tastes good. That's why.
Of course.
I might mix in my protein and collagen in it. I might put some spinach. I'm the only one that eats spinach, like anything green, really.
Yep.
But yeah,
So
I gotta get some hidden greens in there that don't taste.
yes.
I won't eat kale because it tastes like feet.
You just got to make it the right way. Okay, so that's okay. That's okay. You don't want to eat feet. So this is what I want you to think about. So number one, I am a huge fan and promoter of making yourself some healthy green juices. And I don't mean go on a juice cleanse and do not start doing that. First of all, save money by making your own stuff. Number one, it's overpriced. I can sell you juices. They're going to cost so much to make. Do it yourself. So think about this. If you think making an energizing green juice, and I'm going to also throw this in there for you gals too that are here. I'm going to put this link in. If you just go to fitforfemales.com, right to the blog, let me show you this because a lot of people do not know this. Let me pull this up for you in real time right now. Okay. So if you go to fitforfemales.com here and you go right to the blog, so click on the blog right here. There is a search bar. Type in green juice, just right there. It is going to pull up all the things that I have here that are good for you. This is free for you. Go look, pick something that you're like, I don't really want that, but I'm going to try. Okay. There's so much stuff for you there. So I'm going to put this in the link for you gals. You can save that. If you think making a green juice, and a green juice is generally more greens of something and a little less fruit, and you're not going to like it. You're going to be in shock. It's not going to taste like your morning smoothie and you're like, yeah, this is so good. You're going to send me a face like this. I'm like, snap your photo, trying to chug it back. Your body has to detox naturally the sugar, the taste that you're used to, and it has to get used to it because it's in shock. It's like, what is this? If that's too much, if you're like, listen, Trina, I'm not going to do it. Forget it. I know you say it's good, but I'm just not doing it. Fine. I've got something for you too. Whatever kind of sugar drinks you might be making now, if you're into smoothies or smoothie bowls or some type of shakes, incorporate some greens into it. Spinach is the easiest one because you don't know what's there. Take a giant handful, shove it in, and mix it around. I'm not even telling you to decrease your fruit. Step one is just add a huge thing of spinach. I love Costco because you can get it in that box, but it also can come with a lot of little surprise nuggets of bugs and things. So I like fresh lettuce leaves and stuff. Do whatever you got to do. I keep it in my freezer. I grab a giant handful and I just throw it into your smoothie, or throw it into your soup, or throw it into your scrambled eggs, your scrambled tofu in the morning. Any way that you can add it in, that you don't have to think twice about it, just throw it in there. It is going to help you detoxify from sugar. That is absolutely incredible. So number one recap, I want you to fill your cup. Have two, what you're consuming and what you've avoided. That cup that you avoid is going to make your brain crave more. You're going to feel really good. So Melissa, if you cut back a little bit of the mango, say you just cut back a quarter cup, just Google how much sugar is in, like you can say in your phone, how much sugar is in a quarter cup, scoop that into your cup and you're like, yes, okay, I did it. That's amazing. It's a win. Even if it's 1 teaspoon, that is a huge win. And over the week, you're going to look at those cups and be like, you will not believe what you're consuming. Like none of us are. It's like we brush it in the back burner because we're like, we just pretend. It's better not to think about it. It's like me eating meat. I have a real problem eating meat. Why? Because the thought of things. So I'm like, well, fish swim in the sea. They're ugly. I don't really like them. That's so mean. And then I justify it, but this is what we do. We justify everything we put in our body, right? That's exactly what we do. Number 2, do the lemon detox water. Number 3, try a bitter green and let me know if you like it. Try a different one if you don't like that one. Anything. Okay. Dandelion. I forgot to tell you. Why did I forget to tell you that? It's my absolute favorite bitter green. Dandelion. Don't just go to your backyard, pick it and cut it. Although they're totally healing. Dandelions are super, super healing. dandelion. I think there's a recipe on the website. Just Google dandelion. I think it's my dandelion beet salad. Oh my gosh, it is amazing. Same thing like I was telling Amber, you just chop it up, you can saute it. I eat it raw. Oh my gosh, it's so delicious. It's really big in the summer. You can still find it. It's going to be imported, but it's so good. Number 4, drink, I did do number 3, buy a bit of green. Number 4, try a homemade juice and make sure you're reading those labels. What you're putting into your body, you're allowing someone else to make, get you addicted to sugar crack, and cause all these problems. It is major. And do you know what? It's a major problem. And you know what it does to you? It suppresses your immune system. So when my kids were physically going to school, I would always tell them, you're going to have sugar 12 hours before you go. You want your sugar? You're eating it after supper, whatever. When you go to school, you know, you're going to have all these healthy things. And I still gave them treats when I went to school, but I'd say when you come back from school, you can have that healthy, or you can have your sugar, because it suppresses your immune system and you're not as strong because your body is doing all this stuff scientifically, which I won't get into, but be smart about it, especially with viruses and colds and bugs and all those things. You want to be as strong and healthy as you can. So that's another huge reason. We're into all this stuff right now. Nobody should be eating high sugar. Your immune system is counting on you eating healthier foods. And it's not to say you can't have it all the time. Eat it. It's good. It's made. It's like, eat your cake and do all those things, but be smart about it. Okay. Anybody else have anything they want to add, ask? What are you going to do? What tip will you incorporate for me to know as your accountability person and in this group? Jeanette, do you want to chime in?
Yes, I was also going to say about brain fog. I have it when I know that I'm consuming a lot of sugar. I have the hardest time focusing and regulating my anger. Yes. Especially like I find I'm so short with my kids when I'm eating a lot of sugar, especially when I start in the morning. By the end of the day, I'm like, just go to bed. And I know that it's from when I eat sugar, because I've done 30 days with like 0 sugar. And it's amazing. You're just like this little Zen person walking around, and it's amazing. But that's hard to keep up.
Okay, wait, because that sounds amazing. And I know that's true because that's how I feel. I feel like I'm walking around on clouds and life is so easy. What? Like, right? You're like, is this how the happy people feel? Is that
Yes.
kind of?
And after the initial withdrawal, that's what the word I'm like, the hangover and the withdrawal, the first 5-6 days. And then all of a sudden your body has this natural energy that you tap into, and you don't even need sugar, but that place is very hard, and sugar's so tasty. And there's a grandma down the road who makes the best yummy square things. She's out to get me. She's out to get me.
She's out to get me. You gotta have to start telling her that you became allergic to something or something nice. Okay, so I want to come back to what is hard, because that sounds amazing. Doesn't that sound amazing, you guys, to be like, that's the truth. You will walk around and not need sugar. You'll be like, where have you been all my life, energy? Where has this been? But you said something, and I want you to dive into what's hard about it. What is hard about sustaining what you did?
Because you have to work. It's hard because you have to plan, and you have to be very careful, and you have your kids constantly harassing you about that, the stuff you're making isn't as yummy or whatever. And it's like peer pressure from your children. And my husband and I both have a really big sweet tooth. So when I did the 30 days without sugar, I really had to work. I had to plan. I had to find things that were really satisfying. And I did eat a lot more protein and stuff. So it's like a full loop, and I get it. But then once you have the first little nibble of sugar, or, your kid doesn't finish their cereal and you're in a rush and you finish off their bowl, and then it's just it's so slippery. The slope is so slippery. I need good hiking boots with spikes to be like, no.
I love that. And you know what all that is? That's just the habit. That's all that is. It's
and
the habit.
laziness. Well, not laziness, but like the lifestyle of being busy and hurrying, right? You're just like,
Yes.
oh, just quickly, you know, on the mornings that we're rushed, you're like, even for my kids, like I'm not making them eat a hard-boiled egg when we have like, we slept in and we're late. It's like, here's a bowl of cereal.
Yeah.
And then I end up finishing that because I'm also in a rush. So it takes planning to not eat sugar.
It does. And that you just nailed it on the head. And I just see that Melissa commented as well, piggybacking. She said this, I think, before what I said. Breaking the habit is so hard, right? Breaking the habit is so hard. Here is what you just need to keep reminding yourself. And this is what I did when I quit drinking. You just have to keep reminding yourself how incredible you feel when I work out, when I don't eat sugar, when, like, fill in the blanks for yourself. We're talking about sugar today. How amazing will you feel when you cut back the sugar? So Jeanette felt like $1 million walking on the cloud. Like, who doesn't want to feel like how she felt? She just inspired me. I'm like, I know exactly how great I feel when. How great will I feel when? Leave that as a blank statement and fill it out. How great will I feel when, like from example of Amber's coaching last night, when I work out 3 times a week, and then you fill that in. How great will I feel when I meal plan for the next 4 days? How great will I feel when I cut the sugar? And then have yourself call it a cheat day, call it a reward day. It's not really, but shake up your metabolism. Why? Because your body can't eat good all the time. It is actually very healthy for you to shock your system. So meaning you eat really good and then you just like, you're like, I'm having that neighbor's cake that she brings over, those thingies, and you just eat it. And then you tell yourself, that's my enjoyment. That's my indulgence. It's not technically a cheat day. I call it that because everybody relates to it. You want to shock your body. You have to shock your body and eat not the ideal things every now and again. So it mixes up your metabolism and it goes, woo, okay. It works better. It works so much better. You don't want to slow your metabolism down. You don't want to diet. You don't want to cut your calories. You don't want to go off the bandwagon and say, I'm on a 30-day challenge and I'm not having any of this. Take your time, but fill in the blank. How great will I feel when I add these bitter greens, when I cut this, when, and keep coming back to your why. Why are you doing this? Like Jeanette said, because I'm moody, I'm yelling at my kids, I feel more tired, I have brain fog when I'm eating sugar. That's like the grossest things to feel ever. I know, because I felt all of them. Who hasn't felt that? You're like, why am I yelling at people and screaming and feeling so bad? Okay, so fill in those statements for yourself. Like, why do you want to keep those 2 cups on your counter? Like, what's your why? For me, it's accountability and it's being realistic, because I can pretend like I'm eating all these things. Like even this kombucha that I drank, it's going to have sugar in it, but it's a different kind. I know that I'm not eating all these different things. So what am I doing this and why? Why am I eating these bitter greens? Like always put a why statement behind it, because it's going to empower you to do better and to change. Everything is related to habits and emotions. Everything on earth. Emotions are cravings. Emotions are cravings. Your kids have cravings. We give them those cravings by when they scream and yell, they're like, please buy this in the thing, please. And you're just like, just take it and be quiet, kid, right? Sometimes it's easier to just, this mama is down for the count. Sometimes it's just easier. And it's the same for yourself, but you're not planning. You're failing on your plans for yourself. Why would you do that? The people you follow, the people you feel inspired by, and I will continue to say this, make sure it's real life people, that you're getting the real deal, that you're comparing yourself to, and that's realistic, right? I'm always very mindful of that. I always tell people, Pick someone that's real. Like if you're a mom, don't follow someone who's not a mom and you're like, God, their life is so great. They don't have kids. Of course their life is so great. They're not raising humans, but there's different things that they're doing too. So pick something that's very realistic for yourself and try to follow that as much as possible. And encourage your kids to do this with you. Get them to scoop it. Teach them. Kids are so intelligent. Kids can teach us so much. My kids teach me every day. I always thank them. Like, you're so smart. Do this challenge with me. Let's get a sugar bowl. Let's get a sugar cup and let's keep track. And they're like, wow, Mom, this has a lot of sugar. And they get really smart about it. And give them their package and their chocolate bars and say, you know what? Let's try to calculate this and let's keep a little cup here. It is so fascinating. They're little humans. They want to learn these things. It's exciting for them. And it's exciting for you. And tell them, Mommy needs to be kept on track, because Mommy really, my kids know, they're like, I know my mom loves to eat those mini eggs. Mom, you're going to eat them all. I'm like, I don't want to eat them all. They know. And I'm like, oh, I'm strong enough. I can do this. No, I'm not. So just get involved with your kids. It's not a secret. Tell them why we're doing this. We need to eat more vegetables and we need to eat more fruits because it's better for us. And then the bear paws and then the cookies and all those other things, they can certainly come into play in your life. But what do we want to do? How much sugar are we going to eat? Let's be smart about it. Let's take a look. And sometimes all reasoning goes out the window. That's okay, girls. It doesn't matter. Don't beat yourself up over that. Just let it go, like a cloud that just floated away. Let it go. You ate it. You did not so great. You did not so ideal. Just admit it and move past it. Okay? Does that make sense? Melissa, anything you want to say, add, talk about? This is your time to ask. Dandelion tea. Yes. Yes, Amber. I am a tea junkie. Dandelion tea, ginger and turmeric tea, anything that you can do. Again, when I stopped drinking alcohol, which is sugar, like I loved wine. I only drank red wine and white wine. I would say to my husband, if they never invented anything, if they stopped making this, I would never drink again because I don't like other things. And I got off it with teas and replaced it, like my habit, the actual habit of drinking, because it's the pour. It's the glass. So notice this is a wine glass. This is my kombucha. It's a wine glass. And I would pour my drink into this, my raspberry tea, whatever I was drinking, dandelion tea, fabulous for you. Dandelion is a natural liver cleanser, which everything we eat and every emotion we feel gets stored in our liver. Our liver is a fascinating organ. We abuse it every single day. Okay, so yeah, that's a great one. I got so many great tips for you guys. Anything else? How about you tell me this, for those of you online? Tell me what you'll attempt to do, what changes you'll make in the next 30 days from now with respect to sugar. What do you think reasonably you can bite-sized pieces, little tidbits that you can incorporate? Who wants to go first? I want to hear from all of you. Add bitter greens for sure. Do you have one in mind, Amber, that you'd like to try?
Yeah, I really want to try that Swiss chard, the way you explained it to cook it.
And you know what else Swiss chard is really good for, Amber? You can roll them up. Like, again, you can just chop the little stem off, but when you chop the stem off, do not throw it out. If you chop the stem, saute it. Even if you only have a little bit of those bitter greens, save everything. So what I do is I make little wraps with them, like any kind, like if you're doing turkey or you're doing veggie, like I love roasted veggies. So I'll just carrots, any kind of leftover kind of wilty vegetables that I have in the fridge. I'll throw them in either I roast them in the oven or I'll saute them. And I'll just put a little bit of that lemon, olive, garlic, whatever you like, saute them, heat them up, and then I put them on a leaf and I roll it up and bite into it. It's like the best. You can do like a honey Dijon dressing, anything. You could put salsa on top. It's fantastic. So you could eat them raw too, Amber. You just might notice it tastes bitter for you. Otherwise, you can saute them or throw it all over into soups and etc. They're not, I wouldn't put it in smoothies. Don't put Swiss chard in a smoothie. I haven't tried it, but kale and spinach, yeah. Swiss chard, dandelion. I don't know if I'm that hardcore. Challenge accepted. Okay. Jeanette, what do you want to add? Or do or change?
I am going to try and make a green juice. I do love my smoothies.
Wait.
No, I'm going to try one of your recipes. I'm going to make one.
Okay.
And I'm going to try and eat it.
Okay.
Consume it, drink it, whatever.
Try and eat it. I love it. I know exactly what you mean. Okay.
I will. If I make a horrible face, I shall send you a picture.
Oh, do you know how many I have of people? I'm like, send me a photo. They'll be like this. Swallowing it down. I'm like, listen, get a straw. Try it with a straw. Like mix it up. And here's the thing about bitter greens if you want to make a juice. You can make that greens, the majority of it, and add a fruit within it. Like the one that I sent you with the pineapple and the apple. That, yeah, absolutely, Amber, go ahead. The one that I sent you, it's a little more buffered because it has fruit in it. So it's a little more tolerable. You know what I mean? Rather than if it's just like hardcore juice, I'm like, okay, add some spinach, add some lemon, add some ginger, and add some cucumber. You're like, oh God, right? Then I'll be like, well, add an orange in or add an apple or put a little bit of banana. Like it's sort of like dating. You don't dive all in and, like who remembers dating? I don't even know how to date anymore. But, you don't dive right in. You're like, here's all of me. Here's my whole story, all my baggage, all my background, all my luggage. Here's all the ingredients. Let's do this. Because then the person's like, hey, now you do it slowly. You throw in a little bit of this for yourself, an apple, some spinach. You're like, well, here's a little bit of my childhood. You don't go all in. You just kind of test it out. Do the same thing with the juice. Start out. If it has a little too much, maybe you want to add ginger because that's a spice you like. Maybe you want to do cinnamon. Maybe you want to try almond milk, coconut milk. Try the things that like put an anchor in there. Something that you like whatever fruit, that's okay. Put a little bit, but try to stick with a half a cup if you can and tolerate it. Okay? You can do it, Jeanette. Stay strong. Your kids are so smart. They can do this with you too.
I have one kid who's very sugar addicted. So I'm going to see if she wants to do the cup thing with me and see if that makes a difference on her opinions.
Yeah. And generally speaking, it does take us time. It does take time for us to see that. But many people, there's a lot of very interesting research coming out about how we're quite sugar addicted, that it comes from our ancestors and our genetics and all these different things. So we're fighting this, what feels like a losing battle. It's just awareness. If the people can become aware and your kids, whoever, if they can become aware to know you're going to crave more when you have this, you're going to constantly want more, you're going to get a little bit moody, you're going to feel all these things, just be honest with them. Because kids really, as they get older, like my kids now, 13, 15, and 17, I'm like, why did I make them so smart? Why did I do this? Like they call me out on things. They're like this, that, and the other thing. They're very intelligent and they make their own decisions. Like my son said the other day, so I ate those gluten-free. My poor son just got diagnosed celiac. He has been beyond sick. And this is the one kid that had no allergies. All my other kids have nut allergies. He's like, yeah, I don't have anything. It's been a train wreck. So we're switching. Like I'm 100% gluten-free. I'm almost 100% certain I'm celiac. I never got tested, but I carry both genes from both parents. And so we're trying all these gluten-free products, which are, some of them are terrible because they're loaded in everything else to make it taste good. And my son says, hey mom, do you think I'm allergic to chocolate? I'm like, this is what I'm thinking in my head. I'm like, you're not allergic to chocolate, dude. He's like, well, I feel so sick after I ate those things. And I'm like, you know this, look at the sugar content. The sugar content's so high. And so I said, hun, you're not allergic to sugar, but your body now all of those pretty organs you have in your large intestine and the large intestine, small intestine, and your colon and the duodenum, all these things is like, sugar, sugar. I don't like this, but we can't see it. Can you imagine if you could see your stomach go, rah, like you're giving it all this stuff? You'd be like, what am I doing to my body? But you don't see it. You look at yourself and you go, okay, do I fit in my pants? And we do all these things that visually we can see. You forget how much damage you're doing internally to your gut, to every single aspect. So it's just awareness. Just become aware. Look at the labels. Read what you're eating. Read what you're buying. It'll make you go, okay, I'm probably not going to grab that this week. Just become aware and empower the people that live in your house with decisions. Empower them to say, you can have this, but just know that it comes with all of this other stuff too, because you're going to plant that seed in their head, especially your little kids. And you're going to be so much more equipped than you are, because think about as an adult, how much you're struggling right now, how much I'm struggling, how much we struggle. We grew up in a different era, right? So you're equipping yourself, and let them know this is really hard for mommy. Like, it's really hard for me. So you need to keep me accountable. And if you see me wanting to reach for this, tell me this, like, educate other people. Cause when you feel educated, you feel smart. You're like, I'm going to go out and teach everybody what Trina just told me and taught me. And you feel really, right? Don't you feel empowered? You're like, yes, I can do this. So Melissa, what are you going to do?
Sorry, I had to jump and run because my little one clogged the toilet. So I missed the question.
Oh no, a
Yeah.
real emergency. So what do you want to do in the next 30 days to tackle some sugar detox naturally, to reduce it? Is it a habit? Is it trying something new? Is it one of the tips I gave you? Is something you already know?
All of the above?
Everything.
No, okay. So I did the thing that I'm going to say most people do it because I don't want to be the only crazy one, but I got rid of all the crappy junk food in our house. And by getting rid, I mean consumed, and it's gone.
That's good.
So the last couple of days has been like, even now, like my kids wanted hot dogs for lunch. I know. And I would have cooked an extra one for myself, but I had my protein shake and all that stuff and a Greek yogurt, and I'm just keeping up with it. Just start good, and I just want to continue.
And that's the thing. Once you start and you continue and this becomes a habit, it's no longer effort. Like right now, it's an effort for you, Melissa, because you're trying to change habits that now you've got other humans in the house that have these habits. So you're mastering them, trying to change them and dealing with all their emotions and all their issues and your own, because you're like, yeah, that'd be so much easier to cook hot dogs. It's so much easier for a mom to do all this stuff.
Yeah.
But once you stay in the habit and you stand a stake in the ground, you're like, there's certain things you're willing to give in on. There's other things that you are like, I am putting a stake in the ground and I am saying no to this. And I tell my kids, if you want that, you give me money and I'll buy it for the groceries. That's what I tell them now. Yeah. And I've done this since they were little kids. You want me to go buy you those fishy crackers? I'm the only one that doesn't have fishy crackers and bear crackers. I'm like, I don't care. This is why I don't feed it to you. There's nothing wrong with the parents that feed their kids that. Most of them don't even know, because the industry is so corrupt. It doesn't tell you, by the way, in these labels. I said, but this is
whole grain and good for you.
Yeah, they're so good. They're like, these have prebiotics and like they put things on there that are like, look, oh, and you're like, as a parent, my kids need that. So it's not even our fault. But
that's what we've done as well. We make like our weekly meal plan, at least for dinner. Yeah. And then usually dinner is also, we make enough for leftovers for lunch the next day, kind of thing. Because hubby's an essential worker and
that's
goes
amazing.
Out. But we would kind of like pick something, like say hubby and I like stuffed peppers, for example. Yes. Kids do not. They want hamburgers and hot dogs or something. But we said, we are now, this is what the menu is. We all sit down Sunday night and go, everybody picks a day and whatever, and we're not catering anymore.
No,
We'll be
you're
like,
not
okay,
order cook.
you don't want to eat chicken tonight, go make yourself a peanut butter sandwich. There's no more of that. You're sitting there, starve. Like, and they won't. Like,
And kids will not starve themselves. Remember how much we worried so much as when the kids were little? Oh my God, they're going to start. No, kids will never starve themselves. They have a built-in, like their immune systems, their bodies are so smart, they won't. So try little things. You have to decide what your forks are that you are standing hard on and you are not negotiating. And I call them non-negotiables in my house. I say to the kids, this is non-negotiable. If you want to buy those treats, give me money, I will buy them, and it's for you. And just know that it comes with A, B, C, D, and E. And it's not a bad food, but it's not the kind of food we want to have all the time. This is why. And I'll say, just notice how you feel after. Like my kids now at those ages are really able to identify, oh, I'm really bloated after this meal. Like just teach them, because we grow up with all of these issues. You eat and you're bloated. You should not be bloated ever when you eat. If you are, it's something wrong in your body, some chemistry that your body's reacting to. You shouldn't be 7 months pregnant and 5 months pregnant after you eat. And we've all felt that. If I showed you pictures of me, you'd never believe it was me. Because
I could eat a sandwich and be like, oh my God, I look like I'm a couple months pregnant now.
Yeah, because your body's reacting to something. Okay. So, all right, I'm gonna make sure that I load this replay after. Pick one of the tips that you can do that's realistic, incorporate it, and then touch base with me, #FitForFemales. Let us know what worked, what didn't, what tips do you have? Because again, these are all suggestions for you. I don't believe that I have all the answers, but I believe that we can come up with the answers that what works best for you, okay? I will see you next time. I'm gonna just pause this one here.